Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Viva Bastardo Show, which is part of the Hagerty Podcast Network. Today, we have Michael Strahan, who is possibly even more car-obsessed than I have been, and has had a massive collection of really interesting and unusual and varied stuff. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about my gastrointestinal distress that I had last night. I ate some dodgy shrimp and some other fascinating topics. My friend Steve Dibdin has a company called Additive Restoration. So he scans people's cars now. Like when they have super rare cars, he'll come in and scan the whole thing when they just get it. In case they crash it, then he can...
And he made a business out of that.
Yeah.
How many rare cars are there that need to be scanned?
A shitload. But he doesn't just do that. He makes like parts. He'll make a part for some like 1950s Ferrari that you can't find or that kind of stuff.
So you know where we're now at the point with technology where I actually want to get like a bunch of like venture capital bros together, buy a McLaren F1, scan it, and do replicas.
Fiero-based?
No, like all like, you could actually
because Strahan would be in.
He's
got the largest Fiero-based collection of
I have the Fiero Testarossa.
That would actually be amazing, man. Wouldn't that be amazing if you
just took a Fiero and based all the different styles off of it?
Because have you seen them all? I was actually looking them online the other day. There are so many different Fiero-based Ferrari replicas, and they're kind of weirdly fascinating.
There was one I saw.
Because it's like looking at strange plastic surgery.
There was one though. I got to say, a friend of mine sent me one the other day because they had a Ferrari rally, I guess out in Connecticut or something I didn't go to. So,
did he try and get in the rally?
No, I didn't. No. So my friend sent me one. He from Florida. He's like, I always wanted one of these. I was fascinated with them. And it's a Fiero, but it looks like a legit best one I've seen that ever look like a Testarossa.
Right.
So I said I should buy it and try to get it into the next Ferrari rally.
There was a video I saw on Instagram of some guy in a replica trying to get into a Ferrari show. And then he was turned away. But I feel like actually it would be kind of genius. It would be such an amazing April Fool's if you could collect, like, just borrow like 4 or 5 Fiero replica Ferraris and then have like someone come do like a show. Like, hey, I just want to show you guys my garage, and then just take them around the cars. But you think they're real.
Oh, and would they have the heart to tell you that?
No, they wouldn't say anything, but then the internet would go crazy.
Yeah, because they, and everybody, I spent $3 million.
Yeah, exactly, man, exactly.
And, it's very rare.
What if you went the opposite direction? What if you took a Ferrari and made it look like a Fiero?
That's good.
Then somebody should knock on your door and arrest you immediately. But you know what I do? Like, speaking of Testarossas and Ferraris, I was just, the other day, I was just like, man, I forgot about the Koenig and the Strosek Testarossa.
Oh, those are...
then even went further, the convertible ones.
But wait, didn't we talk about this the other day? Like, doing a collection of those sort of tuner cars from the 80s.
Yes.
Would be... And was there a... Who was the other? Gambala.
Gambala used to do crazy. They have a Gambala convertible Testarossa, too.
Yeah.
And I only saw pictures, and I'm looking on, like, Auto Trader. Is there one or not? I think you got to find somebody who has one in the collection and go try to buy it from them. But
are those undesirable, or are they now, have they turned the corner?
I think they've gone way up now.
Really?
There's a lot, because, like, they're odd. Like, they're really bizarre. Like, you wouldn't do that now.
No.
Right, it's true. Because then it was just a car.
Because think about it, a Testarossa back then was like it's like a high, whatever would be one of the highest end cars now. I don't know, like considered a Bugatti or a Koenigsegg or something, but that's what it was looked at that time.
Well, actually, that's kind of interesting because you say that, because you're right. In the 80s, it was like the super high-end car. It was a supercar.
So would you take one of these supercars we have for hypercars and send it to some guy in a garage somewhere in Europe and let him...
Have you never been tempted by a Ferrari and all that? I mean, a Bugatti and all that kind of stuff?
I thought about it. I almost bought a Bugatti. But
which one?
Veyron.
Okay.
And then I went to look. They invited me to see the Chiron, which was beautiful.
Much better looking.
Yeah. I like the swoop over the door. Like all of it seems to be a little bit more cohesive. Yeah. But I never thought that the Veyron was a very good looking car.
I thought it was sort of bloated.
Kind of looked like a milk dud.
That I think was the inspiration for the designers. They were like, you know what? I've always thought the milk dud was an amazing shape.
It was technically impressive. It was visually a little.
They let me the O'Gara, the dealership out in L.A. They gave me one, the Super Sport, the converted with the top comes off. They gave me one for like a week. I don't know why you
this
trust
just depresses me, man. This just depresses me. You're always telling me, I was given a 220 for the week. I was given a Bugatti. Wait, no one's giving me no.
Well, you know
I'm
why?
getting like a minivan.
You know why? Because they figure if you crash it, you got to pay for it.
Right.
Like,
they're busy like loosening the brake lines. I don't know. The brakes just failed.
Well, I will say that it was so freaking impressive. Like you said, just fast, and you hit the gas and you hear the turbo wheezing behind you was insane. Stop traffic type of car. But I don't know. I never bought one. I always looked and thought, the oil change is $50,000. Huh?
Right. Yeah, I know.
For
it's crazy.
What? That's a whole other car.
I mean, what are wheels like? 20 grand a piece or something?
The servicing on that is insane because you have to replace the wheels and tires.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just replace the tires. Like, you have to replace the wheels because they're worried about hairline fractures in case you do go 250 plus miles an hour.
Well, how about I just replace the tires and say I'm not going 250?
Do you ever see that video of that guy who drove into the lake in Florida? Yeah. It's amazing for the insurance thing.
You know what? That was in Texas.
Oh yeah, Texas. That's right.
Beaumont, Texas. Yeah, which is where part of my family's from. That is the last place you expect to see a Bugatti. It's in
That's
the country,
best place for insurance for Bugatti.
But I think he got caught.
Yeah, well, of course, there was a video of him like just driving off into
How random somebody's like, oh, the guy's like, this is the moment I've been waiting for to get that insurance fraud.
Thinking I'm driving a Bugatti, no one will be videoing it.
unless he thought like it was going to be good evidence, like, the car went out of control, like.
Well, yeah.
But imagine though, that took some kahunas just to literally drive yourself in that car into the.
Yeah.
You don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah. Can we talk about how we met before we?
So let's actually, we're going to do a rolling intro here.
Was that a rolling intro?
Yeah, that's like the warm up. The audience is going to get to hear the warm up. But now, if we could, for the people that hung out this long and don't have any idea what's going on.
Okay, so if for those of you who don't know, we have the relatively unknown Michael Strahan here. We're delighted to have. This is going to be his breakthrough moment. I know he's incredibly grateful for this opportunity.
Yeah, I'm hoping that with this moment, I truly can get into this entertainment business.
Can we just, we should talk about how we met, because I feel like I was telling my wife about that, and I think I may be the only person in America who didn't know who you were.
But it was great. I enjoyed it.
I mean, but you were so gracious, man, because I remember, I think we sat down at breakfast. We went for a drive, a whole bunch of us, and we sat down at breakfast because I was sitting across from you, and I said something like, so what do you do? And then you said, well, I was in sports, and I think you said I've moved into media or something. Mm-hmm. And I feel like, in retrospect, it feels like it was really condescending. But I said something like, "Oh, that's really great that you've managed to make a career beyond whatever sport." and then I noticed all these people coming up to you in the diner, asking for your autograph. And I thought, because nothing eludes me, I thought, hang on a minute, wait a minute, maybe this guy's famous. But is that the only time that's happened in the last?
Well, you know what? It's refreshing. Let's put it that way. It was nice to sit there and talk to somebody who had no idea, didn't come in with any preconceived ideas about you or what they seen.
Right.
And then I didn't know what Phil did. I'm like, you're an artist.
You still don't know.
You're an artist. You know what? Hopefully something works and you can do something good in your life.
Hopefully someone buys your art at some point.
I'm still waiting for a break. Still waiting for maybe this podcast.
It's coming. Just hang in there.
Hanging on.
So you guys were on a driving event together.
Yeah.
What kind of a driving event?
It was just a mutual friend of ours who put together a bunch of guys.
Okay.
It was I don't know, 10 people or something.
Yeah, about 10 people, 10 to 12 people. I remember we had a little bit of everything. We had a Joe's Green F40. You had your M1.
There was a Carrera GT.
Carrera GT.
What were you in?
I was
the Fiero-based
Fiero-based Ferrari 355.
What were you driving?
I think I was in a SL65.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Ooh, we had a 959 on the rally. Yeah. We had
it was a pretty good.
This is a good mix.
It was a good group of cars.
It was a good mix.
But that was the first time I drove a 959.
How was that? It was a bit of a.
It's one of my favorite cars.
Right.
But Porsche now has done such an incredible job of improving on what that car was meant to do, which was kind of be the hypercar for Porsche. But then they have improved so much that if you drove a turbo, from a few years after 959 was a big car.
It's fascinating, isn't it? Like
it's much better.
Isn't that interesting how that the supercar of 1989, with the pinnacle of performance now is like minivan performance now.
Yeah.
Like whenever I'm driving anything that I own except for the 220, people will say, how much horsepower is that? You know, and I always say, well, it's like 280 horsepower, which in 1988 or 1991 was a fair amount. And now,
but I do want a 959, but I want that Canapa 959
because that's the one he's made it
modern.
Right,
like it's very modern. Which some people like everything to be authentic, like original and everything, and I appreciate that. And there are a lot of cars I do believe should be that way. But when you see this car, and very similar to what they make now, is not like a big. I would just rather have.
I always loved how it looked
a special way.
It's beautiful.
You see Gambala's son.
That thing looks amazing.
I've seen it. I haven't driven it. I've seen it.
How's it look in person?
It is pretty outstanding.
Because you know, what was really amazing in pictures, but then deeply depressing in person. That new DeTomaso.
Really?
You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, I like that in person.
I thought it was too big.
It's very speed racer.
It was a burgundy color?
Yeah.
I like the way that looked. In pictures. I've never seen it in person.
In pictures, it's amazing, but in person, it just seems too giant to me. Like it was just...
How did you feel about the copper kind of accent stuff?
I felt like they'd kind of gotten a bit too like Sistine Chapel.
A little steampunk.
Is it...
it had all these like...
produce it? Is it...
So apparently it's like some random billionaire, and he's doing like 70 of them, and they're all sold. And
really?
Yeah, that's it.
Huh. I feel like that's what everyone always says. They're all sold, but then you express interest, like, well, we could find a slot for you.
I'm not going to say the manufacturer of a certain
yeah, we know.
And I wanted this car, and my buddy talked me out of it, which I'm kind of mad at him because I should have did it.
Right.
But this is when they had first started, and they were going to give me they gave me a great deal on this car. But it was like, we're all sold out, but for you.
That's right.
Not for me. If you're telling people you're making 25 and you make 26, that's not right.
Right. Or they're not really sold out.
Yeah.
Which actually we should talk about since we're on the DeTomaso topic.
Yes. DeTomaso, baby.
The Guara. Now that... So just for everyone at home, gathered around the wireless, I had a friend of mine had a car called the DeTomaso Guara, which was the last car DeTomaso made in the mid-90s. Rear engine. Oh, you're going to say something?
Guara, if you want to look it up.
Yeah, very good, very good. And it's rear engine. They made 31 coupes, I think, of which 18 were BMW engine, the rest were Ford engine.
Mm-hmm.
So he had sent me pictures of this car. And I was like, it looks kind of weird. I'm not sure. Plus, it was red because I have a thing against red sports cars. I
don't know why you hate red sports cars.
Because it's like telling a joke and then letting people know you're telling a joke. You know what I mean? Like when you does that make any sense?
Well, you know why Ferraris are red.
I know, but it was a competition thing.
No,
in the 60s.
They also, I think that Enzo said that if you give a kid a picture of a car, you tell them to draw a car. What color do you always color it? Red.
Is that true? I feel like we're gonna have to Google that.
Google it.
All right, you know what?
I got the laptop.
I feel like we should. I feel like, but anyway, he told me about the car, so I was like, not sure. But then I thought, you know what? It's in the city. I'll go over and have a look. And I went to have a look, and shit, it was just so cool.
Yeah.
Like it was just kind of so impressive visually, like the presence of it all. And I sent you a picture, and because I'm an enabler. I'm such an evangelist with things I like. Like I always want to, if I like something, I always want to get all my friends and people I know into that thing.
And I'll be honest with you, I'm a sucker for that. Because Chamal, you got me thinking about that. But the Guara was so. When I went to see it, I was like.
So did you think it was weird when you saw pictures though?
When I saw pictures, I was like, well, it looks a little short and boxy.
What car did it remind you of?
So when I saw it in person, then I got it. I said, oh my goodness, this thing, first of all, it's bigger than you think. It's wide.
Yeah.
I love hips.
Yeah, same.
On women and on cars.
I was going to say,
I love hips. And this thing, it reminds me of a Carrera GT.
I think it's, I think Carrera GT, and I know I'm going to get shit for this, but also the Ferrari 250 LM, because they both have that weird chopped rear cabin greenhouse with a flat back.
The way the front comes down and the greenhouse kind of looks like it's almost leaning forward.
Yeah.
It's a brilliant design. The car looks incredible in person. It's one of these cars that in pictures, you probably love it or hate it. But in person, I don't see how you can hate this car.
And then you fit in it, which I was amazed by, man. I mean, we're kind of the similar size, actually, so I shouldn't be amazed.
Yeah, you know, if we stood up right now,
very hard to tell apart.
They'd be hard. They wouldn't know who played football. So
I get stopped all the time, man.
But I fit in the car, which is always key. I've learned I don't buy cars anymore that is tight. I mean, I've just got to the point where I'm not going to drive a tight car.
That must mean that I guess basically then.
I'm limited.
Yeah, like vintage is probably out for you, right? Like
no,
60s,
you'd
70s
be
stuff?
amazed how many vintage cars I could fit into.
Really?
It's like some of this 90s
you have a Daytona.
stuff. I have a Daytona, which I love this so much, I kind of make myself fit. But I fit. But the Daytona is always, the steering wheel is like driving a bus, you know? And it's just, when I drive that car, it's like, man, this car is a 1971. Imagine being in the 70s driving this thing. You were like really doing it, right?
Right.
But the car is sexy to me. It just looks incredibly great.
Is yours a Plexi?
No.
No, okay.
No, I love the Plexi, but mine's not a Plexi.
Yours is red, right?
It's red.
Get out.
But with the silver train on the front.
Listen, resale Ronnie loves a red Ferrari.
Hey,
I know.
Let Ronnie know. Offer me a price.
But wait, so you've got a Guara.
And he's got a Guara.
I got a Guara now.
Okay, so
the boat just got here.
Well, his is he got a genius spec.
Mine's silver.
Silver blue interior.
Ooh, like a bright blue?
No, navy blue.
Navy blue.
Yeah.
Okay.
But mine, the boat literally just landed last week.
Really?
So I'm however long it takes, a week or two to get it off out of the container, then I'll have it.
Oh man, I have to see that. I feel like it's going to depress me.
Why?
Because it's silver. It's not red.
Yeah, but
you
can redo yours. You can do whatever you want.
Have I been bothering you with car colors?
Okay, and what people don't realize, Phil sends me he has somebody, I don't know who does it, but they do a great job. They do all these color rendering for him of the car, all the different colors and different things like that. But he confuses me. He sends me, I'm like, okay, I like that one. Oh, that one not so much. Like then a week later, what do you think about this? He sends me this, resends me the pictures.
I know.
Or it's like a slightly different shade.
Or a slightly different shade.
It's like it's you can't even tell. I totally recognize it's some kind of crazy OCD
but
madness.
Have you decided yet?
Well, I still feel like that car would be good in a sort of unusual, like these pastels, I think, because I feel like it's such an incredible design. It doesn't necessarily need like a bright color to shout. It doesn't need to shout. And so I feel like that weird green. Do you know the one?
Oh, yeah. That doesn't
Should I send it to you again?
You see many cars like that.
Yeah.
That does not shout at all.
Have you considered like a dusty rose?
Actually, I mean, I actually do like, didn't I? Yeah, I do like didn't I say you should do that for the Glickenhaus?
Oh, yeah. Then
he asked me for some suggestions, and then
I messed around and asked the wrong guy.
Right, we are going to have to get, wait, so have you decided on a color?
Yeah, I think it's going to be Oratium, I think is how you say it, green. It's like a Porsche color from the 50s.
Aventurine green?
No, Aventurine's a different color. Oratium green it's like that sort of weird, like pastel green. Whoa. That's like you know the one? It's like a hospital. You don't like it? Wait, shall I send it again?
Fantastic.
Send it again?
No, I remember the picture when you sent it to me for the 5th time. It's actually
for the 18th time, Phil.
So it's going to be a fancy green with a black interior.
Yeah, I think so.
That's a nice combo.
It's a nice car.
Yeah.
But these cars are so weird because, mine's silver, the blue interior, and I'm like, hey, how's air conditioning and all that? At least I have the controls. And I sent him pictures and he goes, you have air conditioning? I said, yeah.
Wait a minute.
I sent him the controls. He goes, wait a minute, I have none of that, Mike.
Oh, you got the lightweight. You got the lightweight version.
It's a race version. It's true. It has. Well, that's what our mechanic Phil said. He said to me, the good news is you don't have any heater or air conditioning stuff to go wrong. I said, what are you talking about? Because it didn't even occur to me to look. Like it.
You think that, you would imagine you would have that.
No.
But he did this car, F1 suspension in it. It's only 282 horsepower, maybe? Something like that in a BMW engine, which immediately I was like, how can I get more?
Yeah, but it weighs
I don't know
nothing.
if I want to do that because, like you said, car weighs nothing.
It's 26. It's a carbon Kevlar body, inboard F1 double wishbone suspension, BMW V8 mid-engine, and I mean, my friend took me for he took me for a brisk jaunt on the West Side Highway and stepped on it, and holy shit, I was like, okay.
Really?
It was alarmingly quick. I mean, I feel like things are always much quicker in the passenger seat than when you're driving,
especially first time out.
Yeah, but there was definitely a sort of a tightening of the buttocks situation.
The sphincter.
Like a sudden production of diamonds.
You know, what's the fastest car you've been in, Phil?
XJ220.
Yeah. I've not been in very many fast cars.
What's the fastest you've ever driven?
I'm such a geezer, man. Like, I'm full Victorian gentleman in the top hat driving cars. Like, I think actually in a 220 on a closed track, of course. Maybe 120, but
that's the fastest you've ever driven.
You still have another 100 in the name of the car.
Are you going to speed shame me?
I've seen Corollas do 100. Like,
you're speed shaming me?
I've seen a Corolla, and I'm like, I hope the wheel doesn't come off and the tire doesn't blow.
Because the thing
I've definitely been on the Van Wyck and seen an Altima doing at least 120.
Thank you.
I mean, look, maybe
with the windows open.
Okay, maybe 125. But I feel like the thing about that car is it's kind of like landing a jet. You have to look ahead and know that you have to brake with a lot of space in front of you, and you want to deploy the chute. I mean, it's not like the brakes they're just old school brakes. You've been in that. Yeah, you were in that car with me.
Yeah, I was in that car with
you. Were you thinking the whole time, God, he's driving really slowly?
I was. Well, no.
Is that what was happening?
What I do remember, though, is he would accelerate and then slow down.
Oh my God!
He's like a giddy schoolgirl.
It's so true, man. It's so true because I felt it. It's so true because it's both terrifying and really exhilarating. Because the turbos kick in, and I'm like, holy shit, I've got to stop.
But it was just his reaction, and I'm like, the turbos have kicked in, but not really.
I know. It's not even. It's just a tickle.
Well, don't drive with me, buddy. I'll get you going.
I'm
I'm a safe driver. Right. I'm a very big believer that I'm making it home to my kids, and I'm making sure nothing happens to the car, whatever it is like that. But I've done track stuff. I drive.
Right.
I drive. And
do you think you're a good driver?
Absolutely. I think I'm the best driver.
See, that is what makes him a good race car driver, because he has confidence.
Because I thought I was a great driver. Well, yeah.
Well, you're a safe driver. Like, I would. That is
the full complimentary kick in the nuts.
I would put a carton of eggs on the seat next to you, and they would get to the house without one being broken, and I wouldn't even have to put a seatbelt around it because right. Put it away. Morgan Freeman would be out of a job in that Driving Miss Daisy movie if you were available.
You see, I thought that I was a genius driver. I had I had skills. So, I'm a man, I know how to drive. And then the missus gave me a 5-day Skip Barber thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think I told this story a few times, but she 2 days in, she calls me up and she says, "You sound really sad." And I said, "Well, I've discovered two things. One is I'm terrified the entire time, and two is I'm a really bad driver."
What are you scared of?
I don't know, man. The whole, the speed, it was an open cockpit. It was raining. I was trying to heel and toe. It was all this, it was like a buffet of terror.
Did they teach you to heel and toe, or you just saw a YouTube video and decided you were going to do it?
Also, I have no coordination. It's amazing how uncoordinated I'm just generally.
Listen, PDK's for you.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah, it really is for me, but I kind of feel like it's, not like a... look, it's incredible. I can't really synchronize anything.
But when you do watch these videos of somebody heel to heel...
Oh, it's amazing.
And these race cars, it's
Can you do that?
Unbelievable.
Can you heel and toe?
No, I can't. You know why? Because my feet are too big. I can't be doing all that with my big feet.
That's the thing with me, man. That's the thing with me. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, what size shoe you wear, Phil?
It's a 14.
Is it because I wear a 14?
It's a small looking 14.
It's a small,
14 minus 5.
That's right, man. That's exactly right, man. It's a European 14. It's a Japanese 14. That's what I.
But I love. But you always. I will say, Phil has the incredible taste in cars.
Thank you.
Almost ahead of the times of what people.
Prescient.
Yes. And that's why when I saw the DeTomaso, I was like, if this guy has it, I'm on it. The Chamal he has, and I'm like,
tastemaker.
That one, I'm gonna get one of those.
That car is
because it's
great.
such a cool car. That V8, it runs great.
You
It's
drove
got
it.
torque, I really, and just interior looks so cool, like so 80s, 90s. Like you can't craft a better interior.
I feel like
than
that's
what
the
that looks
most
like.
comfortable car I've ever been in.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, those are like Recaro armchairs. They're like Recaro lazy boys.
Yeah.
Like if Recaro made a lazy boy, it would be that seat.
In like a sports car, you don't expect something to be that comfortable.
Yeah.
Because now it's all about weight, saving, using carbon
I mean, those seats
fiber.
are definitely, those seats are like 200 pounds.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they're...
they didn't curb weight on that car when they built it.
They weren't, but it was a really quick, I mean, that car was a quicker car than the 964.
Really?
It has, well... Okay,
That's not saying much.
Actually, you know what? I take that back. It has, because I know that all the Porsche people are going to come out of the woodwork and they're going to be like mobbing my house. It had more horsepower than the 960. Actually, you know what?
But they won't be able to catch you.
Exactly.
Once the turbo's spooling. Actually, you know what? I wonder what do you know what the weight is on the Chamal?
I'm going to find out right now.
Versus the 964. I feel like actually the Chamal statistically was better, but driving characteristics completely different.
31.24 for the Chamal.
I think the 964 is like 31.27.
31.97.
See?
Wow.
And the 964 has less horsepower.
But I mean, I'm Googling this very quickly.
Right.
So
That's like how you get the power to the road.
Right, that's right.
Because if think about it, if that Chamal, if it were all-wheel drive,
Well, if it was all-wheel drive and a lot lighter.
a lot quicker. But it would be heavier
It'd be way heavier.
But traction would be better. So,
Right.
so many things that factor in. That's why these electric cars are so fast.
have either of you done time in any of the new electric, like Tesla Plaid or like the
All
Lucid
right.
Air?
It's funny you say that. On Friday, I had a buddy of mine drove out from Long Island to meet me for lunch. And he had an electric car company. But he bought the Tesla Plaid as a research vehicle. So he's been driving. He said, we got to take it out. So we're going to lunch and he hits it. And I swear my testicles went inside my...
You became prepubescent again.
It was. I was like, "Holy smokes!" Like you got to warn somebody before you do that. You just don't do that.
No, you hurt your neck.
It was so fast, and then he let me drive it. And
Did you do the Phil giggling thing, the Victorian gentleman?
I literally did. I really did because I haven't necessarily been a Tesla guy. I'm like, I'm trying to wait for something. I gotta say, it made me giggle. It made me smile. It was so fast. There is no opening that you cannot take.
Right.
It is unbelievable. But at the same time, I'm thinking to myself, you can't give this car to anybody. You cannot just give this car to anybody. It's too much.
I'm hugely into electric cars. I know that regular
Do you have any?
No, I would like to have. Actually, you know what I saw in the garage today is a Rivian.
They're really good.
I think that the Rivian is the best piece of electric car design so far, other than maybe the Hyundai Ioniq 5.
Oh, it's a good looking car.
But the Rivian, you know what's so cool about the Rivian? It's the only electric car I know of where they actually designed it without thinking about, we should design a grille. You know what I mean? Because all the other electric cars,
they try to look like a traditional car.
They design some idea of a grille because I feel like they don't want to freak people out with something that's too futuristic looking. But the Rivian has said we're not even going to bother doing that, and it's so cool to look at.
But I used one of those things. I was in one when I was.
Did you get one for a week?
I went up to
you got
space.
One for a week?
No.
I got to ask you about the space thing, man. I got to ask you about space.
So they had those. Those were the trucks that we used around the facility out there in Van Horn, Texas, and they beat those things up. It's kind of like a test mules.
Right.
So they running them out into the Texas desert, like beating these trucks up, and they were great. And then they let me drive one, like do launch control and all that stuff. Because they knew I was a car guy, but it was awesome. And what I really like what they did with it is they thought of like all these little cool things, like you have a pass through storage, through the body of the car. There's a speaker you can take from the inside of the car and take out with you if you're gonna like.
They got that Bluetooth flashlight and stuff in the door or something.
Yes, I mean they did just an incredible job.
It's also for me, it's the first all new like manufacturer electric vehicle that actually feels like a traditional
truck.
Yeah, like it felt like a real car.
But I wanted to make a wagon out of that.
Well, they got an SUV.
They're going to make an SUV,
right?
And I have the new Hummer coming.
Oh, you know, I saw that the other day, and it looks cool. It looks cool.
It looks cool.
I actually think it looks better than the original Hummer.
Yeah.
I like how that looks. And somehow...
I like the original. The
very,
second one, the very first one.
You mean the mil-spec one?
The
that was super cool.
That's super cool.
But I feel like,
the second one, I was like, they just took a GM and slapped the body on it.
The cool thing about the genius stroke about making it electric is they totally de-douched it. Do you know what I mean?
Thank you, as I have one coming in.
No, that's what I mean. That's what I mean. That's the genius thing about the electric.
You look a little douchey right now.
Right. No. You could have been a douche had they not made it electric.
Because because it turned in this kind of douche-mobile, the second version. You know what I mean? And then when they made it electric, it kind of just made it totally kosher. And I think the design is really cool. And it went through the intricate de-douching process.
Well, de-douching process. Well, the first one was really cool.
The mil-spec one was amazing.
And I was out in the Hamptons this summer, and the company who bought the brand, I was with this one of the guys, one of the investors, and he had the old body upgraded to like new technology and spec because they were going to possibly.
Right.
I got to reach out to this guy, like sell the old ones, but with the new engine.
You're talking about the original one, like the one that Arnold drove.
But digital dash, like everything is brand new.
Make
but
it nice and livable for...
Yes,
yeah.
but it is still a Hummer.
That would be amazing as an electric.
I would rock that in a heartbeat, and it would be amazing as an electric car.
Yeah.
I have the LM002, the Lamborghini truck, which is very similar.
Hold on. You got the Rambo Lambo?
Lambo, baby.
You have one.
I had two at one point, and now I'm down to one.
You need two.
Well,
a gentleman needs two. LM02s,
different colors. So
Can I interrupt? How is the Rambo
Fan
Lambo?
Freaking.
I'm envious.
You know why? I had my first one when I was still playing football, like in 2000s.
Man,
Loved it.
I have to say, that must have... Did you drive to
I would
practice
drive
and stuff? And did people
all the time?
Did people know what it was?
No. And my teammates would freak out because they wouldn't even know. They didn't know what half.
You know what's amazing
was.
about that car is now you see it in the context of other cars, and it's diminutive.
Yeah.
Like it's small.
But the tires are huge.
Right.
And it handles extremely well.
Really?
That thing handles well in turn because it's massive. And
right.
That's a way that it's
the
really
design
great.
Of that thing is amazing.
It's not 0 to 60.
Right.
It's not that. It's like 40 to 100.
Right. On a closed track.
Yeah,
off-road.
Off-road.
Yeah,
but then if you're not off-road, you're on the and that thing comes with and it's V12, 5-speed, manual. Like everything about that truck is so cool. And I bought my first one then, sold it.
What was the color? Was it red? I think
red.
Yeah.
Of all colors.
Yeah. I mean,
then I sold it, and then I moved to California for work, and I'm going, man, I sold cars just because I was moving. And then I was like, I really love my cars. What the heck was I doing? I found another black one I bought, redid it because they needed a lot of work, so I redid it. Then I ended up selling that one and buying my original red one back. But I bought my original red one. Then I realized, I have two. So then I sold the black one.
You realized, right? Like you'd forgotten.
Like just rifling through.
There's this other one in the corner here. I forgot about that.
Forgot about that one. So, to me, the red one was more. I bought it back because a buddy of mine was like, that was your original one. It's like more sentimental. So I bought it, and now I'm having the suspension upgraded, like more like comfortable for now.
Yep.
And not saying they're doing a lot of things. It's all kept within guess whatever kind of specs that you could do to them now. But the engine I'm having rebuilt. It'll be a little bit more horsepower. But these are people, this is what
What's
they do.
It doing?
They specialize.
What kind of horsepour is it doing?
I think it was like 455 back
Yeah,
in the day.
It was a Countach V12.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like insane power by today's standards.
Does it sound insane when you're driving? Or it's kind of,
It just sounds awesome. It's a freaking 12, baby. And then
you can hear it over the wind noise.
Yeah, and then when you really get it, like you're going to downshift like 40 to above, and that it just opened up a symphony. That is my favorite time to drive that truck. Is like at those speeds, and when I tell you it handles well. When I get it back from being the engine redone and all that stuff, and it really been worked over.
You're going to take the Victorian gentleman for a drive, and then I'm going to be giggling and soiling myself simultaneously.
Yes. And another thing, I bought this a Spada.
Oh, but that's a hot rod. Didn't you do some crazy?
Well, I didn't. Somebody else did, and I was crazy enough to kind of.
That's the one with the hood scoop, right?
Yeah, it's got a. They took a Countach downdraft engine and put it into a Spada,
right? As one does,
and it's like, and the guy's like, and then that's engine's been rebuilt as well,
right?
I seem to be buying things that require a lot of work after,
but you kind of want that, man, because then you rebuild the engine, and then you've got a good 2 or 3 weeks of trouble-free driving, which is
as long as it breaks within the warranty time, I'm good.
You got a couple of weekends of worry-free driving, man. I mean, it's an amazing feeling.
So I can't wait to get that back. That was a fun car to drive even before I sent it out to get everything redone. But I like myself to be. I just want to say, hey Phil, you want a car here? And give you the key
for a week.
You get in and you go.
Right, not stress.
You give it to me, I go like 20, 30 miles an hour, and I bring it back.
Well, I know nothing's going to happen. Go give me some eggs.
Yeah, you don't need to do a rebuild with Phil behind the wheel.
I like how I've been outed as this kind of milquetoast driver,
you called yourself a geezer, so there you go.
I was actually just taking it easy, man, because for you, I didn't want to I know you're an important person, man. I didn't want to hang it out on the edge as I tend to do. Yeah. Did you what do you think of the 220? Because you had one. You had one for a week.
I had one for a week. I've always looked into getting one.
But wait, how do you drive in that thing, man?
It's tight.
Yeah, but it's tight. I mean,
you said no more tight cars.
Yeah,
my head is almost touching the top. So you had it for a week?
I have a short torso.
You do.
Yeah, and long legs.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that fits then somehow.
Yeah, but it does. And my buddy Philip let me borrow his in LA, except for a week. I enjoyed it. It was faster than I thought. It was everything.
Right.
And it's that one supercar from that time that I'm like, how is this not $1 million car right now? I mean, if F40 is God knows how many, and a 959,
right?
How is the Jag not
here's
there?
the only reason why the Jag's not there, I think, is because look, Jaguar is making the I-Pace now.
Yeah,
and Porsche is making like the 918.
Yeah,
and Ferrari. I mean, I think it's a
Halo
brand
car. They need another Halo car and then bring that one up.
I think also the problem with the 220 was it was so surrounded by kind of this terrible mythology of doom for so many, for a long time, and well, there's that, and then also I think the other problem is that they sat in geezers' garages for 10, 15 years at a time, never being driven, so that when people did drive them, they were always problematic. They didn't work properly, so people said, "Oh, they're not very good cars," etc., etc. I mean, the more I drive that car, man, that's kind of the most. I feel like that's the fanciest car I've ever owned.
Really?
Yeah,
I mean, the fancy. Don't you have like a daily Audi?
It's not fancy, but the thing is fancy as far as
looks,
probably exotic.
Yeah. I mean, I've had all the Group B stuff, and I had a bunch of stuff from the 60s. But I feel like that's kind of the most spaceshipy kind of.
It's one of the most beautiful bodies I've ever on a car. And every time I see one, I just go googly eyed. But now they're trying to tell me, well, you can move there's something we can do to the seat, and there's a new hinge that you can put on, open the door wider.
You could lower the seat a little bit.
But I got to buy one in order to figure that out.
Or you could borrow a friend's.
But then still, I would have to see what the seat that they say I should put in would fit and how. I remember I wanted an F40 forever.
Right.
Love the F40. Went and looked at so many F40s. I was at a dealership, and they had one without any interior. The interior was out of it. So they took like a seat, and they put it in and said, well, we can do this with the seat. And I got in. I'm like, it's still a little tight. Then they're like, well, we could take the padding out. And basically, I'd just be sitting on a hard.
Right.
I'm like,
we could just have you sit on this bucket here.
Sitting on a bucket. I was like, who wants to drive it?
We could just put a little piece of carpet on the floor, and you can just kind of balance.
Yeah.
The next suggestion was like, well, we could take your legs off.
Yeah.
Basically. Yeah.
See, there's a car that looks so good in other colors.
Yeah.
Like Joel's car in green.
Looks really hot.
Amazing. And I've seen one in blue. And I also, I saw on Instagram the other day in white. I mean, I feel like...
the white ones look good, too. Yeah.
So wait, your buddy Joel, right? He's New York local. He's got the green F40.
Yeah.
Is that actually painted or is it a wrap?
No, it's painted.
That's painted.
Yeah. Because Eugenio Amos, the guy who had it before, he bought like the super low mild perfect F40. I mean, this is a full bastardo move. He took that perfect car and then spends massive amounts of cash painting it like a Ferrari color.
There wasn't even like mangled.
No, there was nothing wrong with it.
It was like sub 3,000 kilometers.
Yeah,
kind
exactly.
of like,
you know what that's called? When you just are so wealthy,
right? No,
that's have what you want.
That's called fuck you money.
Yeah,
is what that is.
I mean, that takes balls.
Yeah,
I respect
because
that.
you know that if you know that the moment you do that, every time you try and sell it, people are like, well, I'm gonna have to knock you down a bit because it's not the original color.
Even though they're only want it because of that
color.
Yeah,
exactly.
They'll act like it hurts.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
But I hate that. Your car is your expression of yourself. Like I've never bought a car ever to impress anybody else.
Right.
Ever. I bought a car because I loved it. It makes me feel some way as a kid. I always desired it as an adult. I always said one day.
Right.
Or I love something about design, the drive.
What was the first
mechanical-ish
What
part
was the first thing you ever bought? The first
car I ever bought was a Camaro.
Was it from the 80s?
In Germany.
Was
1974 or 2 Camaro.
So the very first car ever put up on a wall was an 87 Camaro that I cut out of a Time magazine.
I am glad your tastes have changed.
Okay, so let me just explain. Let me explain.
So weren't you in Europe?
Yeah, I grew up in Europe. So
what are you doing? They didn't have Camaro.
No, they didn't. So that's why it was like this exotic thing because it was in a Time magazine.
Forbidden fruit.
Yeah, it was. It was a Time magazine. I bought it. My mum was from Morocco, so we spent a lot of time in Morocco. So we'd buy like the magazines for the trip, and I bought a Time magazine. I was like, "Wow, this red sports car! I've never seen that. It looked amazing." I cut it out. My taste is, but it was amazing to me at the time.
But I loved it, and I had to rebuild the engine in it.
68,
bought it from a soldier. In Germany, like 72 or 74 or something like that. But bought it from a soldier in Germany where we were living at the time. And it was like a great project and a good starter for me. And then as a kid, I had in Germany, we lived there, a 280 SLC.
Oh, that's a nice car.
Which was great.
But when you made a little money, what was like the first kind of
first car
posh
I bought was a 1993 GMC Typhoon.
Ooh.
Oh,
see, okay. That's good credentials right there.
Yeah. I bought that, and then in 1994, I bought my first sports car. 1994 Toyota Supra Turbo 6-speed with that big swoop. I'm mad I don't have either one of them anymore.
Yeah, you should be mad about that.
You know what, though? The Typhoon is such an interesting choice because that's exactly the kind of car you buy if you don't care what other people think because it's so cool inherently, but it's also a thing that most people look at and go, it's just a pickup truck.
Yeah, with a kit on it, body
kit. Yeah, exactly, with a body kit on it.
Well, no, Typhoon is the SUV.
Yes.
Oh, that's the SUV.
Yeah. The Cyclone's the...
Right, sorry.
Well, the Cyclone with the pick, you needed to like put like weighted bags in the back to hold the rear down.
Like kitty litter all year round.
On the Cyclone.
The pickup truck is nothing in the back.
That's right.
That thing. So I got the SUV, and I drove that thing for years. I loved it. That was the first thing I ever bought myself.
Nice.
That's genius.
That's a really cool, like, first, like, I got on and got a vehicle kind of thing.
And back then, it wasn't like now. I mean, now see, you can't get a really nice car under God knows how much, like 6 figures.
What do you mean a really nice car? Like what? Like a sports car?
Yeah.
Like something like unique and like fast. Yeah. I mean, like, okay.
What could you get
but
that's
I feel
unique
like
and fast? And now you got that Toyota. What's the new Corolla or something that got the new race?
Oh, the new GR?
Yeah, the GR.
Yeah. So
the Yaris GR?
Well, no. So we don't get the Yaris because they'd have to like basically like certify like a whole new vehicle, all kind of stuff. So we get the Corolla. So they just have to do a drivetrain. It's a little bit easier. But yeah, Corolla GR. It's cool. It's not Typhoon.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
you
now
could get you could get the Alpha
markup,
4C, I guess. I got dead face. That's what my daughter does. She gives me dead face.
But that is less than 100?
Yeah, those are
4C?
Yeah, you're thinking about the 8C.
Okay.
No, I don't. Can you find a 4C right now for under 100?
Yeah, because they started off under it. They were like 60 grand or something.
Have you been keeping track of the market?
Oh, maybe not. Am I super behind the times? Is this a geezer moment?
We're going to find out. I mean, under 100 brand new.
You could get an NSX.
Which by the way, under 100 that's a very steep start. Like a Typhoon was not the equivalent of $100,000.
No,
it was probably like 60 nowadays. So like, what can you get for 60?
You could get you could get a 90s NSX. Is those still under $100,000?
No,
those are
90s NSX under $100,000. No,
really? Are they
I gotta say that's a cool looking car.
I love those, man.
And
a silver one, the pop up lights from the early 90s.
I saw silver when I was at brunch and. Facing the window, and one drove by, stopped at the stop sign down in Soho, and I was like,
I've seen that car street parked in Soho.
Yeah,
it's genius, man.
Okay, I owe you an apology.
Okay, what's it?
Because I'm on the internet right now, and I can get a 4C
for $50,000,
for 59, for 46, for 58, and these are like 2016, 2017 cars. So
Okay, so under 100, I go for a 4C ish, but I'd rather get an NSX. I feel I can get an NSX for like 70 or 80. No?
A brand new one?
No, an old one.
Like a 91, 92?
The new one, new one is such a crime against society. Do you see the new one?
I just haven't.
It was just a collection.
It's not the same.
Yeah, but it was it had no point of view, that car. It was a collection of kind of design elements from, say, 10 different cars. You know what I mean?
But I heard it drives amazing, but it's not. I guess if you're going to name it after an iconic car, it needs to do something that grabs you, like the iconic car. Just no different to me than the Maserati MC12 and the new Maserati MC.
Do you like that? The
new one?
Yeah.
No.
MC20?
Do you know, MC20. Actually, on that...
I'm like, if you're going to do it, if you're going to elevate, the MC12 was on such a high level.
Right.
That how you going to come out with something MC and call it a 20 over the 12, but it's an affordable one.
Right. I feel the same way about the new Lamborghini Countach.
I have a friend who has that coming.
I was outraged.
I was a little disappointed.
Yeah, because the Countach was this amazing revolutionary thing.
Don't touch that name.
Well, no, you can touch it, but if you do touch it, you've got to do something that just floors people. Like you can't just take an Aventador and add some bits. Yeah, you can't. I
don't think you even touch it. No. That was on too many bedroom walls. You know what I'm saying?
It's sacred. You think it's sacred?
Don't touch. That is the one that is sacred. You do not touch it. So you do not name another 959.
Right. No, maybe you're right. Maybe you're right.
Because although they did do the 935.
Yeah, it's different.
But the thing about the Countach is, you're right. I mean, I feel like if you're gonna, because it's kind of this, it occupies such a space in people's minds. It must be either you don't touch it or you do something that then just is so extraordinary that it's like the Cybertruck of sports cars in a way. That's a weird analogy, but do you know how like the Cybertruck was so radical that it made...
Yeah, so radical that he's like, you know what, bulletproof glass windows. We'll fix that production.
Are you telling me...
That was hilarious.
Would you not have one of those? I would...
No.
Really?
Nah.
I would. I'm not a truck person, but I would totally have one of those.
It looks cool. And it's huge, by the way. It's really
I haven't seen it in
bigger
person.
than you think.
It's enormous.
It's enormous. It's cool. Maybe I would rock that.
I feel like... I mean, come on, possibly. I feel like you... I feel like you might rock it, man.
Possibly.
I think so.
Is there anything... What are you looking at? Is there any car that you've gotten rid of that you regret?
Oh, God.
And I'm not talking because the market changed and you saw, because there are a few like that over the last 6 months that I want to kick myself in the face.
Well, okay. So I had a Iso Grifo. I bought that car, man. I paid $80,000, silver, and it was so beautiful. And I took it on the copper state, and it was kind of like it was sort of miserable to drive. That was actually one of the last 60s cars I bought. But I loved owning that just because it looked so beautiful.
Yep.
The Stratos, I loved. I mean, it wasn't the greatest to drive, but it was just like I remember I would go into my garage and just to see it there
in this wedge shape.
Yeah, it was this like eggshell blue.
Tiny.
It was tiny. It was pretty tiny. And maybe, I guess actually the 037. That was just such a cool car. And it was also so great to drive. It was so much fun to drive. And the one I had all these, like, it had a Group B carbon Kevlar rear clip. So it was much lighter than the regular one. I sort of, after I sold all my Group B stuff, I sort of felt like, oh, what am I going to do now? Like, what can I afford that's still interesting?
Yeah.
And you sold the Iso Grifo to
Steve Stereo, who then he bought it for a client, and then of course they're like $450,000.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Good decision.
Yeah.
But wait,
or
Michael,
if you want to consult me for business ideas,
what are your big regrets?
Didn't you sell a GT, Carrera GT?
Porsche Carrera GT. That's my biggest.
But is that for financial reasons or just
it was truly my favorite car to drive.
Right.
Like it was just something about it. The stick shift bit up here and you're going, it makes no sense. But when you're in it, it was perfect.
And it's a super short throw.
It's so close to the steering wheel, so it's just like hand off the wheel briefly.
Yes.
Yeah.
And V10 sounded like an Indy car. I mean, this thing was so F1 car.
Why did you get rid of it, man?
Insane. Because I actually was offered Joel with the F40. He asked me, "You want to sell it?"
Right.
And I was like, "Yeah, maybe I will." Then I went to the garage and I drove it. And I called him up and said, "Nah, dude, I'm not selling this thing." And then months later, that was probably the last time I drove it. And then I would just go and I would just look at it. I started looking at that. I was looking at my Ford GT, the new Ford GT. I'm just looking at that. I'm looking at my new GT2 RS that was one of 12, what do they call that, special wishes car. Just looking at that. I'm just looking at my 1994 3.6 Porsche Turbo. Just looking at that. And then I just said, why am I looking at these cars I'm not driving? Get rid of them. You won't miss them. Once they're gone, you won't even think about them. Meh. Mistake. Lie.
So wait, so you had what was the spec on the GT? Like what color?
Ford GT?
On the Carrera GT.
Silver black.
Silver black.
I bought it with 1,300 and something miles on it from Michael Fuchs, actually.
Oh, wow.
A buddy of mine. And Michael doesn't drive his cars much. He drives them a little bit and he parks them. And he sold 13 cars that year at Mecum out and Pebble. And I flew out there with him, went to the auction with him. It didn't sell coming across the block.
Really?
So I went with another buddy of mine back there and looked at it on the field and threw a lowball number on it.
I knew the lowball was coming. Because you know what? Post-auction, no sale, the seller they're like tender meat. They're easy prey because they're sad. You struck, man.
But he wasn't sad because I think they guaranteed him a certain amount for his full lot of cars. Okay. He sold a Bugatti. He sold 599 GTO. He sold P1. Like he sold a lot of stuff. So he walked out of there pretty happy. And so I went back there. I looked at it. I said, okay, this is what I'm willing to pay, and I'm not paying any of those 10% fees, 5%, nothing. This is the all-in number.
Right.
And they accepted it. So that's how I ended up with the car. And I probably put less than 1,000 miles on that car and had it for years. And then
how long do you have it for?
5, 6 years, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe
that's a decent time.
Yeah, but it's decent time. But when you sell it and you see that doubles for what you sold it for, you're like, what the what?
Yeah. Here's the thing: the market on Carrera GTs right now is absolutely bananas.
Oh, it's bananas.
Everyone I talk to is like, this is not the correct number for this car.
I'm like, it's not sustainable because of the number of the cars.
They won 3?
No.
Oh, no, not 3. No, it was
3?
Close to 2.
Yeah, 2 is just 2. Like ballpark of 2 is like kind of like where trades are happening right now.
And then higher mileage was 1.6, something like that.
Right.
And mine was low miles,
so
maintenance, done everything.
What else have you sold that you regret?
I regretted selling my 3.6 turbo 94. I had 12,000 miles on it.
Right. That's
and
so
now
low.
I'm looking at some with 58,000 sold for almost 300 the other day. And I saw one that sold for 475.
I had a 930. Actually, I had a 930 slant nose, factory slant nose, 87. Oh. No, it was the worst car to drive.
Really?
I bought. So you know, you were saying,
always was fascinated with the slant.
You know how you said I was always ahead of the market. So I bought, that was a 30,000 mile car, totally mint, black on black, and then when I couldn't sell that car. I think I sold it. I think I bought it for like 58 grand, and then I sold it for like 53 because no one would buy it. Wow. No one would buy that car. But I tell you what, man, I found it super agricultural. Like it was a 4-speed.
Oh, yeah, because 89 they came out with the 5-speed.
Exactly. And it was, and I would drive. It was my daily in the city.
Oh, you didn't need 5-speed. You didn't need that G50 transmission. You weren't going to get the 5-speed anyway.
But on the West Side Highway, you get up. I mean, it was just not really enjoyable.
I always loved the look of those cars. But what do you have? Do you have anything you have your eye on now? Because the Guara, I didn't even have mine on until you turned me on, and now I'm to it. Now I'm so excited for
Me.
because mine literally the boat is here. Just unload that.
Is it going to go straight
container.
to Phil's?
It's got to go straight to my garage.
Okay, I need to see that.
I'm gonna take a look at it. I got to live with it for a minute.
Right.
And then when Phil's done with yours, I'll send mine over there.
So, well, it's tricky because, like I was saying earlier, like I have, I have limited resources, relatively speaking. So I'm sort of you have to look around and see what's still kind of in the dark corners. I mean, the Chamal was one of those things. The Guara is not on my radar at all, like you said. I don't really know. I feel like I'm at a loss. Like I really sort of explored a lot of the 80s. A lot of the stuff that I would find interesting. You know what I wish I'd had the balls to buy was an Isdera Imperatore. You know what I'm talking about? I think I sent you a picture.
It's beautiful. That would have been a ballsy buy, but a great buy.
Yeah. I feel like
I don't think I could fit in there, but
I don't know. I have no idea. But I feel like something happened with cars like the Vector or the Isdera. There was a time when those cars...
I was going to buy a Vector.
What?
I was on the Vector.
I love the Vector,
and years ago, when I was looking, this is what's crazy. When I was looking for the LM, before I bought that, when I sold the red one, I was looking for another one. And this gentleman out in Connecticut, a friend said, well, he's got one. He wants to sell it.
What color was it?
White.
A white Vector?
No. It was a white LM.
Okay.
But he's like, he got this LM. It's at his warehouse, construction. So I go to this guy's house. He has a beautiful house. Beautiful. But then you go in the basement. So I come through the garage. It was one of the best collection of Ferraris and everything I've ever seen. And it was so immaculate. And it's such a nice guy who I spent some time with. But we go to his warehouse, and he's like, well, a guy owed me some money. But he had to leave town quickly. So he ended up with an LM.
Right.
He had a Vector.
What color was the Vector?
The Vector, I want to say it was white or silver.
Silver. I think that thing is. I actually think the Vector is one of the best, most amazing designs of the 90s.
Yeah.
I mean, I actually say if you had a 90s two-car garage, it would be a Vector and a 220 just for design. Maybe.
Well, was that Weigert, right?
Yeah. But I hear that it was a 3-speed slush box automatic. It was apparently kind of terrible to drive, but and again, I don't know.
That engine, how terrible could it have been? With the look, how terrible could it have been?
I knew a guy who had one, and he said it was terrifying to drive because it was kind of.
I can believe that.
But that design, the crazy kind of like F-16 gauge.
But yes, it's like he made it so you're in a cockpit of a jet, basically.
So why didn't you buy that?
Because I wasn't looking for the Vector at the time, and I'm kind of going, I don't want the Vector. Like it was well before when I finally wanted one.
Right.
And then when I wanted one, I think one guy went up and he's bought like the last 3 or 4 at such an incredible number that I'm like, God.
He's like just hoarding them?
He's hoarding them.
Well, the thing about
what built the market.
What I was saying about the things like the Vector and the Isdera is there was a time when buying those cars was, at least in my mind, was crazy risky. Like I've always tried to buy cars that number one rule, I have to love them. Number 2 rule is that I feel like I like things that kind of not people aren't paying attention to. But number 3 is I feel like they have a chance of going somewhere. Like if I sell it, I won't lose my shirt.
No, that's what I.
And with the Vector and stuff, I always felt like, I'm going to buy this thing. Who's going to buy this car from me if I ever get bored of it? But I really was wrong because what's happened now is I think in part because of Instagram, everything is so seen that people want things that aren't seen. Yeah. So like the Guara or
we didn't know about Instagram back then.
Right.
It hadn't been invented. Had we invented it, we wouldn't have to worry about if we made money or not on cars. We just buy whatever the heck we want.
It's exactly right.
What the hell? Yeah, give me 5 of those. Yeah. We'll be living like the Sultan of Brunei, having 20,000 cars.
Yeah.
Or more. But but that is was a miss on my part. And I didn't even buy the Lambo because I thought his number was a little too high. But it was beautiful to look at.
The Vector?
Yeah. Beautiful to look at.
I hate to interrupt, but so how long have you been collecting? Because God. I feel like, a lot of people listening know you for, some football stuff. Super Bowl ring.
A small career.
A small career. Or they see you on the TV every day in the morning.
No.
But
unless you're me.
Unless you're Phil, who doesn't have a TV.
Who never wakes up and doesn't have a TV.
Right.
Doesn't wake up and doesn't have a TV.
I'm an artist, Michael. An artist, man.
Doesn't even know what football is. It's fine.
It stumps my creativity.
That's right, man.
But when did you actually start collecting? Because I think for a lot of people to find out that
when I could afford it.
Okay.
I mean, to be honest with you,
right.
even and to me, collecting was when I bought that Typhoon back in 1993. To me, that was the start. I would say, as far as having multiple cars, and when I think of a collection, I kind of think of having more than you really probably have, because you can't drive them all consistently. Would probably be the last. Wow. 20 years or more?
Wow. But it's funny though.
That's a long time of addiction.
But the thing about collecting is you don't think about collecting.
No.
Like when I started buying cars, I just was buying. I finally had money to buy stuff that I kind of dreamt of owning, and that's it wasn't me saying, "Oh, I'm going to make a collection out of this kind of car or that kind of car."
And that's what it is.
Right.
And I walk in my garage now and I look and go, how the hell can I end up with all these cars?
How many?
And why the hell do I have all these cars? Some of them I need to get rid of. I just got too. It's very eclectic.
Okay.
It's a very eclectic collection. So I know people I only do Porsches, or I only do this, or I only do that, or the colors have to be this. It's
right.
I like to walk in and have a Skittles, look like Skittles in there, just different colors, because certain cars shouldn't be certain colors, in my opinion. Just don't look as good. And every car I want to have its own personality when I drive it. In a lot of the modern cars now, everything is fast. I don't want to have fun 100 and above, because where in the heck can I do that unless I'm on a track, or unless I want to possibly kill myself, somebody else, or go to jail or lose my license.
Right.
I need that 0 to 60, 0 to 80 fun.
Yep.
I need that, just downshifting,
That's all old
accelerate
stuff.
A little bit fun.
Right. Slow cars fast.
Yeah. And I like the manual. I love a good manual more than an automatic or paddles, because I bought the first paddle shift car I bought was the Aston Martin Vanquish.
Ooh.
And I loved it.
Don't you have an 850?
Yeah, I have an 850.
Is that a CSI?
I have
stick or
I have the 850 CI
right.
automatic. But the unique thing about it is the first one ever done by Dynan twin turbo.
Oh, that's cool. I think that's. I've always loved this car. I think that's one of the most beautiful cars in the last 20, 30 years. It's amazing, that car.
And so I bought this car, got it pristine, runs like a champ. And I looked at the 850 CSI.
Right.
And I drove the 850 CSI. I did a PPI on one, had 3,000 miles on it.
Right.
So I'm like, let me drive. I was like, how's a car 94 CSI of 3,000? The guy went to jail.
Right.
So, prison for a long time.
Right.
So but I drove the car, and I'll be honest with you, I was underwhelmed.
There's a stick. The CSI is a stick, right?
Yeah, all sticks.
Really?
But it's the most desirable one.
Yeah.
But I was underwhelmed with the performance of the car. Like, you're giving it gas, you're going, this is what everybody's screaming about?
Because it's a GT. It's not really.
GT. But the Dynan twin turbo is a GT on a little more steroids.
Right.
Like, it is, it's something. You hit it and it goes. And
there's lag or no? Or is...
I mean, no. I mean, it is, but not like you would expect. Not like a Porsche 911 Turbo from the 80s or 90s.
That's actually what's nice about the Chamal. I guess it's the twin turbo thing, right?
Yeah.
The small turbos.
One kind of picks up with the other at a certain point. And a sequential, I guess, if you want to call it that. But I love the 850.
It's an amazing design, man.
I have this Speedster. But this
Porsche Speedster?
Porsche Speedster, 89, I want to say. 89, 94.
With the flares. Well, the 94 is the 964 body.
Wide body.
That's the 89.
I think it's 89.
That's beautiful.
89, because it looks like my old 89 Turbo. But it's turboed. I bought it from this doctor who did the car, and he never drove it. Right. So I bought it, took it to my guy who literally redid the entire, broke it down, had to do everything. Because the guy kind of didn't drive it, which is the worst thing for it. So redid the entire car, and everybody complains that car is underwhelming from factory trim. But I wouldn't have done it if it wasn't already done.
Right.
But it is incredible. Like, got to turn the boost down on that thing. It is, it's a killer.
I think I love that car.
Yeah.
I almost bought a silver one from a doctor, actually, also. I feel like all doctors own silver.
Doctors or dentists?
Yeah.
But Phil's rubbed off on me and his attitude towards cars. I bought some quirky stuff.
Recently?
Yeah, kind of recently.
What's like a recent quirky acquisition?
Well, the Guara.
I mean, okay, besides the obvious of the Guara.
I bought the Fisker. Henrik Fisker did
the Karma.
No. When he first started, he took SLs and he took BMW M6s and he rebodied them as Fiskers and everything else. So I bought the SL65 bi-turbo that he bodied as a Fisker.
I think he's a genius designer.
Car.
I think he's amazing as a designer.
Oh, he is amazing.
Like if you look at it's interesting because I feel like this is probably not a popular opinion, but Ian McCallum.
Ian McCallum.
Yeah. I feel like he was sort of a 70% designer. You look at his designs for Jaguar, for Aston, they were kind of 70% there, but then they never quite went all the way. And you look at Fisker designs for Aston, and they were just always beautiful. Always complete and cohesive and amazing. Like all that.
He did the Z8 too, right?
Yeah. They're always cohesive. There's never a thing that's kind of not quite right on them. Whereas
the Z8 to regret. You just reminded me. I regretted selling that car.
Oh, you had a Z8 as well.
Yeah.
Isn't that a bit of a geezer mobile for you?
No, it's awesome.
Really?
That car was awesome.
I always felt like that car looked too sensible.
Well, it's basically it's a E39 M5 motor.
Yeah.
In a slightly smaller body.
Basically. The design is beautiful.
And then the guy I sold it to, his garage burned down. I think he lost like 20 cars. It was sad.
That was in no way connected to you.
No. If I can't have it, you know one's going to have it.
So weird. I mean, a lot of the cars you've sold, then they burn down, mysterious circumstances.
Allegedly.
I did have it, and I had 2 cars burned. And I was a part of neither one of them.
Right.
One, the Z8 burned. That was somebody else's.
Yeah.
But when I used to live in California years ago, I had an Aston Martin Vanquish 6-speed.
Oh, that's
and my buddy Dean comes to town, and I wasn't driving the car much.
You lend it for a week.
Can I, borrow a car? And he's a car guy. He deals cars. So I was like, okay, stand with me, as a matter of fact. And then he's driving my car. Freaking next morning, I come out of the bedroom in the morning. So I said, good morning. He goes, good news or bad news? I'm like, yo. How about good morning? What are you talking about? Good news or bad?
Like, we're out of eggs? Like, what's going on?
Yeah, exactly. He's like, your car. I go, you wrecked my car? He goes, it's gone. I said, somebody stole my car? He goes, no, it burned to the ground. I'm like, oh, stop messing around. He's like, no, seriously, I put gas in it. I don't know what insurance company came out. Aston Martin sent people out. Like, it was a big deal. And I guess something leaked into the pan because it was a flat bottom pan, and then heated up and the car went up.
Was this like at a gas station?
It was on the highway. It was he filled up and then he left the gas station.
Oh, I
and
see.
It just went up.
Right.
And he's bitching at me because he had a new pair of Air Force Ones in the trunk that got burned up.
Well, I mean, you've got to see a side of it, man.
Yeah.
I mean, those Air Force Ones.
He suffered a tremendous loss.
Oh, yeah. But then what the killer part is, and I have to find these pictures, he literally is taking pictures of the car as it burns.
Is he posting them on Instagram?
And then he's like standing there with his arms crossed or something. I'm like, who's taking these pictures? It looks like the cover of a rap album.
Wait a second. Wait. What color Air Forces was he wearing? I mean, I'm not on the investigation, but I'm just.
Somebody should have investigated it more. but that thing went up in flames too. But what can you do? Some things happen. But I've since replaced it. I have a Vanquish S now, 6-speed.
So
nice.
The stick versus the
different car. I got bored with the paddles.
Yeah.
Stick, just a different car. You feel like you can control just of course because
the paddles are weird on that
connected.
car, right? In terms of how, because a friend of mine had one of those. He said they don't function like there's a.
Well, it's kind of like Ferrari. If you drove a 575, it's like that. Ding, ding,
I see.
Ding.
It's like an earlier paddle, like it's clunky.
Yeah.
You know what I was thinking actually about modern Ferraris is I feel like there's not that many that are actually attractive anymore. But I feel like people think they are. Is there some like weird Emperor's New Clothes thing happening?
Well, go ahead.
I was going to say, they're trying to make some like the Roma, right?
The Roma, I think, is really nice.
The Roma is supposed to
looking.
be like a beautiful car.
I think that looks good.
It doesn't do anything for me.
Really?
Yeah,
It looks like a Jag.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it looks really. I think it's the nicest looking.
Well, now they're trying to make a car that appeals to multiple people, not just a car guy, right?
Right.
So
But
I'm with you. I don't find the Monomoth necessarily to be beautiful. I had a TDF, which of all of them I thought was great.
That's actually a beautiful car.
I love the car. It was just a little too easy to drive, a little bit too detached when it comes to like your feel. Like I just didn't.
Right.
It didn't grab me, but it sounded good and it looked good.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But then I had a 599.
Do you still have that?
No, not anymore.
You have? Oh, do you have a Scaglietti?
I have a Scaglietti 6-speed, 612 6-speed.
I
sold the 599
Right.
6-speed, sold the F12 TDF, bought the 612 6-speed, which is great.
I feel like the 599 didn't have much of a point of view from a design standpoint for me. Like it didn't. Like the Scaglietti has those scalloped sides.
Yeah.
Are really unusual and really kind of beautiful. Like the whole front end
people
is.
appreciate that car though.
I don't think so either, but I think it's a really cool piece of design because to me, I really love design with a point of view, and I feel like the 599 sort of looked like a lot of other Ferraris, you know, and a lot of the recent stuff from the 458 onwards kind of looks ish.
Did you not appreciate the flying buttress design on the 599?
Yeah.
Because that's pretty unique.
I don't know. I mean,
it's subtle.
I guess I just feel like everything has been kind of incremental, and I wish they would come out with like a P, was it P3? The
P34?
Yeah, P34. Like I wish they would just do like the Glickenhaus, like the one that the Glickenhaus thing has. There's so much P34 in that glass house design, which is
I'm waiting
cool.
for it. Yeah, that's what in one of the cars that I sent Phil. Like, what do you think helped me with colors?
I had so many amazing suggestions.
Yeah, there's Glickenhaus.
So you're on the Glickenhaus list.
004S. Yeah. I was one of the first, like they called the founders. So one of the first guys to go in and put down a deposit on it. And it does remind me so much of the P45, whatever he had.
So in person, how is that?
Beautiful car.
Really? Because I wasn't sure, and the more pictures I saw, the more I feel like maybe it's one of those cars that's not so great in pictures, but is really good in person.
Yeah, it's a beautiful car.
Because there's so many interesting elements to it. Also, and this is going to sound stupid, but it seems like it's a bargain for what it is. Because it
is a bargain for what it is now. Because you look at what this car should do, and center seat driving position, 3-seater. 650 horsepower in manual trim, 750, 850 in the paddle shift trim, and then more of a racer version.
But also comparatively speaking to other stuff, like
comparatively speaking to other things that with this performance and all this stuff, electrics, door, everything that it does, you would think it's $1 million+ car, or it's $750, $850, $900,000, and it's not.
Right.
You can get the carbon fiber body, let's say, and it costs you.
Did you get carbon or
no? I didn't.
No. I feel like really, I mean, I'm sure if you got like a raw carbon body, I'm sure that would look amazing.
Oh, it would look sick. But a lot of times I see the raw carbon, you got to get on it, just get up on it to see.
Right. Have you seen that raw carbon 935? Is it?
Yes.
That's, I mean, that looks amazing.
I think the biggest thing with raw carbon for me, though, is the weave has to be perfect. Because if I see a little bit of wave, I'll spot it from like 10 yards out, and I am just not happy.
It bugs you. It bugs me.
It's irritating.
It's like having a door dent.
Yeah, exactly.
100%.
Just get rid of the whole car.
Let's just sell it. Just sell the whole thing.
So the Glickenhaus I got coming. And another one I'm excited about, and I think I sent you the video of the exhaust.
Oh, that thing. What was that again?
That is the SSC Tuatara.
Oh, God.
Oh, you've got one of those coming?
I got number 2 coming.
I showed that to the missus. I mean, she has no interest in cars at all, but that exhaust just...
It's like a piece of work of art.
Yeah, but it's intestinal. That's what I said.
But my buddy Jason, he designed the 599, which you hate. Yeah. For Peter, I'll let him know that.
I'm sure he'd be delighted.
That's who took me out in the Tesla Plaid the other day. I've told him that you hate him.
Okay.
His 599 design.
Oh, I'm sure my opinion matters.
Yeah.
Specifically hates him. Not the design, hates him.
And
no, but look, he designed the Glickenhaus. He designed the
P45 Glickenhaus. He helped design, and then he did the Tuatara for SCG. And
you know what I love?
No, SSC.
You know what I love on that car is those vents, the dotted, like the circular.
Oh yeah,
that's for some reason I feel like that's an amazing detail.
But you know what? It reminds me of the very. I think he helped on the Birdcage Maserati.
Oh yeah.
So I think a lot of that's an homage to that in a lot of ways. But the car that I have, car number 2, is a low downforce car.
Okay.
Body at the first low downforce, so it has the spoiler on back, a little bit more stuff, looks a little more sinister, even though it looks sinister in the first place.
Because it needs help, man. It's a very tame looking car, that car. It's just soft.
But I didn't plan on, I had no desire to buy that car. I wasn't going to buy it at all. And there are budget restraints for me too.
Sure.
I have a lot of cars, but
sure.
But I go to Monticello. They had a track day at Monticello. And Jared came in. They shipped it in from Washington, the mule car. Jason's like, you got to come up. So a bunch of us go out just to support our friend since he designed the car. I freaking got out of that thing with the biggest smile on my face. That was the most incredible ride.
What was
the power, the acceleration, the look, the feel. It's
the whole experience.
Very hard. I had the Senna, Ford GT, TDFs, all these modern, super fast cars. But none of them felt visceral. There's always an element of where you feel a little detached from the car. Right. And I think they're trying to make it so that not just if you're a true car guy and you're a true driver, you can do it. But if you're not, then...
Oh, I see what you're saying. They want to make it easier.
And this had a lot more rawness to it. Safe, but a lot of rawness to it.
That's actually very interesting. I think that what you said earlier, that they're trying to make a car for a lot of people, because I guess that's when you lose the stuff that car people like.
Yeah.
Right? That kind of. Well, I mean, I don't know if it's a sense of danger, but the connection.
Yeah, it's a connection to me. It's the visceral feeling of feeling like when you're in that car, I know where every corner is. I know the sounds. I know the accelerator. I know what I can and can't do. You become connected to the car. And I think a lot of the modern stuff, you just don't have that feeling, and you can't blame the manufacturers. I mean, at the end of the day, Ferrari, I can't tell a 488 from the next one that came and the one before, after, the order of which they are, the SF90.
Right.
I couldn't tell you.
Right.
But they're public now. You got to make money, right?
Sure.
You got a lot of pressure on you, so you got to.
That makes sense.
And then you got to sell the .coms and everybody else who's new money.
Right.
Because that's what they're interested in. That's the poster that they had.
Right.
So.
Right. I mean, and people also want technology. They want to see the demonstration of all that racing engineering trickle down to their driveway, and
I drove
that they'll never use.
I did a a Lamborghini test day a couple of years ago.
How was that?
Well, it was. I've driven almost nothing modern. I mean, I had an Aston Martin Vantage at 07 for a little while, which I partially traded for the Stratos, which was the best deal of my entire life.
Great deal.
But so I was really curious to see what it was like, and it was interesting because it was really quick. But I like you say, I just felt like I was sort of pressing buttons.
Yeah.
That I felt like I was really insulated from the sound, from the feel, and I guess I had all my Group B stuff, so you're it was the polar opposite in a way.
You're involved.
And you're exposed in the sense you're exposed to the sound, the road noise, the engine, the tires, everything you're hearing all of it. And in the new cars, you're hearing what they want you to hear. It's all designed, right? It's all planned.
Yeah,
it is
that is true. That's a good point. You're hearing what they want you to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
And it's actually fascinating when you drive older cars, even from the 90s, but also from the 80s, no one was thinking about, we should make this exhaust note good. The M1 doesn't sound particularly good until I change the exhaust on it, and then it sounds amazing. But otherwise, it sounds pretty normal because no one was thinking, it's a sports car, it's a supercar, we should really design the exhaust to sound amazing. No one was thinking that way.
Yeah. And now it's all about sound. Now electric cars, they give you sound.
I kind of love the idea.
There's all funky electric technology noises.
Yeah.
I actually like the idea that you can download a TIE Fighter sound for your electric car. I feel like that would actually sound amazing. Do you know what I mean? A ringtone.
You don't have an electric car, do you?
No, but our next car is going to be electric. I mean, that's why I'm interested in that Hyundai Ioniq 5 because it looks so cool. Looks good. Yeah. And
I'm excited about this Hummer when it comes in.
When's that arriving?
I don't know. Soon. I got email sent.
Are you excited about the 9,000+ pound curb weight?
That doesn't bother me. I mean, I'm not going to be racing it around anyway. And somebody asked me the other day, what's up with the crab walk? When do you use that? And I'm like, I have no idea.
Right.
But it looks really cool on those commercials.
Is that a parking thing?
It's it's
an off-road thing.
If you're driving and there happens to be a boulder in your way,
you can
crab rock around it.
Here in the city, it's going to be a halal cart.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
But, it's still functional.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's a good point.
It's going to be an Amazon delivery person.
Yeah, exactly.
You just crab walk around them.
Exactly.
Yeah, but, man, I got the car bug. Now I'm sitting here thinking about the cars and just redid my garage, so I got to eventually get over there next week or so and organize everything.
You have to let me know when the Guara comes in, man, because I would love to see. I'll drive mine over.
Oh, good. We'll
Hopefully.
We'll reunite the siblings.
That's right. I mean, probably, yeah. I mean, what are the chances of two together?
You'll have 5% of all
in the
cars
U.S.
Yeah, in the U.S., yeah.
I wonder how many are in the U.S.
I know that in California, there's like part of one. There's like a wrecked bit of one.
Oh, that's good to know.
I mean, so there's two and
I think actually the front half caught on fire, so the back half is...
How's the front engine in the back?
I don't know.
How did you find this out?
It was your buddy Dean.
Yeah, Dean was driving it.
Oh, Dean.
He's wearing these Air Force Ones.
So Dean's back at it.
Yeah.
Oh, know, it's so funny, man. And then I had a Porsche that I waited a year for a friend of mine who was doing these cars. And waited for a year for him to redo this Porsche older G-body.
It's not a Singer thing, is it?
It was kind of, sort of.
Okay.
I'm not going to throw the name out there because I don't want to incriminate anybody. But fantastic car.
Right.
And he built it from me. It took over a year. Get the car, drive the car, come up with little notes of things that just need to be, hammered out.
Must not catch on fire.
Like any car, must not catch on fire.
Right.
So I take it back to him, and one of his guys is driving it to test it.
Right.
And some young lady on her cell phone, not paying attention, just smacks him, pushes him off the road, bends the frame where the door isn't. It kind of comes over the back of the.
Oh my God!
Like the back window pops out, completely totaled this car, man. And I got to say that would hurt me because I really enjoyed driving that car.
Right.
And you enjoy driving something when you go to the garage on a day you want to drive and you're like, what am I going to take out? And I was always gravitating towards that car. But rest in peace.
That's always my sign when I want to sell a car. When I start sort of not choosing that car. Yeah. The funny thing about having more than a couple of cars is I feel guilty. Like if I go to the garage and I see, I feel bad. Like I think it's a waste. Yeah. Like they should. And if I'm not, and that's kind of partly why I sold the Stratos, because I had just gotten the Delta S4, and I was loving driving the Delta S4, and I was like, I can't. It seems stupid to have both.
So what's your maximum number of cars at any given time? Is probably what, 5-ish before you start feeling guilty?
5 or 6, I'd say.
Okay, for sure. I feel guilty as hell then.
I was going to say, at any given time, what's your rough number?
Also, I'm limited by space and, all the rest of it. And then also, I kind of feel like I like the experience part of things. Like, that's why I got the Pajero Evolution. Which I love. I think you laughed at. You were laughing at me, man.
This Pajero Evolution truck, man, I just look at it.
Oh, I love that thing.
I'm sitting here looking at my picture album of cars and I'm going, there's so much we can discuss here.
Okay, now what is amusing about the Pajero to you?
Pajero is... No, I love it because growing up in Germany, you watch all these rallies, the off-road rallies, and I've seen that truck. I've just never thought anyone would buy one.
I mean, / the subtext is what sucker would buy one of these?
I never thought anybody would buy one.
No, those things are legendary. They're
that is the most.
But I would have to get in it to see the performance of it.
I'll tell you what. Well, first of all, it's right-hand drive only, and so it was kind of weird because I've been driving and I keep trying to roll down the window instead of changing the gear because it's a stick. But because I'm just freaked out by the right-hand drive thing. But
it'd be a little different to train your brain.
Yeah, but it's brisk. I mean, look, it's not going to be. It's 300.
The selling point of Pajeros are that they are indestructible.
Yeah, but this thing was the most successful Paris-Dakar car ever raced. Like it's the Lancia Delta Integrale of the desert. It's the Delta of the desert. That's my pitch line. But it's 300 horsepower. So it's not.
Oh, so it's not like a sleeper. It's got a little kick to it.
And it looks like a Gundam toy.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
You know.
And,
I'll drive it over to your joint, man.
Okay. I want to see this.
But it sounds
really
terrible. Like it's got.
So you're going to make it sound better.
I've got to fix that. Yeah. I've got to fix that. Because to me, that's the most important mod on any car is the sound for me. Like it has to sound really good.
Really? So you're a sound guy?
Yeah, because I feel like the Guara does not sound particularly good.
The Guara.
Did we start up? We started up mine, right? Did we start it up?
It's quiet.
Did you both get BMW motored ones, or?
Yeah, we both got BMW motor. In mine, the BMW motor. I heard it when they sent me a video of it. It's quiet.
Yeah,
like it needs a little bite.
Okay.
But I want to see it and like rev it myself because I also don't want to overdo it.
Right, I know.
Where it's just the sound.
Yeah.
You ever seen somebody driving these cars? Because they'll put an exhaust with the exhaust thing. It's like massive,
it's always like an M3.
Like an 8-inch exhaust on some, not an M3, like a Honda.
Right.
And the car's screaming, but it's not going anywhere?
Right.
Yep.
And they swear they're like getting it.
Yeah, but conversely, the worst, the converse is also the worst. When you in an amazing looking car and it sounds like nothing.
Yeah,
you have to. But you're right though. It can't sound too crazy, but it has to sound like something.
And then I bought this. I just looked at it. Panos.
Oh, that's right.
Oh.
That's right.
It's
Which one?
Esperante Spider GT.
Let's see.
Very cool.
No top.
Let me put on the specs.
This is the old ad for. They made one of three. It's one of three.
Yeah, that's
Very
cool.
It's
Very
like an LM, their history of it. And I appreciate the history in American
That's cool,
cars.
man.
So that thing is a cool drive. Problem is, got to wait till the summer when there's warmer weather.
I was gonna say you've got that on the way. You've got a Glickenhaus on order. You've got the SSC.
Mm-hmm.
You're kind of,
but and it's amazing because I wasn't necessarily before because I grew up in Germany, more European, and I have a Blackwing, Cadillac Blackwing, which is awesome.
It's a great car.
Today I came here in my Shelby F-150 off-road, 775 horsepower.
I didn't know there's a Shelby off-road.
Oh yeah, this truck.
I didn't know what
Shelby.
They made a truck.
Well, they'll do like performance mods on like regular Mustangs.
Oh, I see.
F-150, all that stuff.
They probably got a Bronco coming.
But I have more American cars now than I've ever had in my life because the other ones I had were like 69 Camaros that were, resto modded and cool stuff like that. But now, I don't know. Americans are making some cool cars. I believe that, buying these older American cars in like a Panos of 2015.
That was a 2015. That
but it's
that's so recent.
Great looking.
I feel like that. I thought that was way older.
No. But then I keep I'm a European guy at heart. A lot of Mercedes. Like I've always been a big Mercedes guy. I just sold my Evo 2. 190, 2.5.
So what we talked about this, right?
It's still in my garage. You got to pick it up and I drive.
See,
I refuse to look at it because I'm going to regret it.
There's a car I sold that right before they went all crazy for value.
Yeah,
you are fully. See, but that's a car for me that I found really disappointing to drive.
Yeah. Well, you know what? It's
like you had to really wring its neck.
You got to really wring its neck to get it.
And then even then, it was kind of, like.
Maybe on a track, it would have been fine. But like in the streets, and it was fine. Like I would take it to play golf or whatever. But I feel
like that's the kiss of death for a car.
Oh, if it's the country club drive?
Well, if you just take it to play golf, like really, how exciting is it to drive?
I'm kind of looking going, but it's a 4-cylinder.
Right.
Everything else I look at is the 8 or 12.
Yeah, but I mean, look, 4 can be. I mean, the Delta S4 was a 4.
Oh,
the 037 was a 4. And those things are really amazing. I mean, I feel like if that car had less weight and more horsepower, which I know is a stupid thing to say because that would make all cars better. But that
that would.
I don't know if you guys know this little known. It's a little known formula that's going to revolutionize.
Lotus would argue differently.
Yeah, I mean,
less weight.
I know it's a bombshell revelation. Actually,
it really
is saying that.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I'm a big. I have a CLK DTM, which is a 1 of 100.
Yeah.
SLR, McLaren, Roadster.
Is that the DTM ones with all the flared wheel arches business?
Yeah. Well, they have the Black Series, which is more, it's flared. These are more squared off. These they only made 100, pretty much for Europe only. So it was what a lot of the race car drivers would take between, that's like a lot of them were owned by the race car drivers. I have no idea.
Right.
But they were show and display here for pretty much till to this day. What else? I have a Porsche I called it the watermelon because it's the color of like watermelon.
Okay.
Inside or outside?
Outside.
Okay.
And the inside is like kind of the, just reminds you of watermelon.
Right.
But it was built by a friend of mine who had the one who let me borrow his XJ220. So he built this car over the course of 4 or 5 years, I want to say.
Okay.
And a filthy amount of money.
Right.
Twin turbo, 1975 Porsche, twin turbo.
Does he still have it?
600 horsepower. I have it.
Oh, you have it. Okay.
I bought it. But pretty much for like half of what he had into it. And I was like, why are you selling this incredible car? No miles. Well, he just got a new roof, so he's like, it's kind of redundant. So I'm like, okay, I'll take the other one. Didn't quite work out. But what an incredible car because, it's got 15-inch rims on it. Yeah. And I'm thinking, how are we going to get the power down in this thing? It's got to be crazy. For some reason, that thing sticks. Sticks. An incredibly fun car to drive. But the best driving Porsche that I think I've ever, it'd be very hard for me to get rid of. I have the RS 964 RS.
Oh. I had the
very hard to get. That car drives perfect.
I had the poor stepchild. I had an RS America.
Yeah.
Which is my daily.
I get that.
And then I sold it.
I kind of like the RS.
People go nuts for the RS America.
Here's what you should do, man, is you should, if I sell a car, then keep it another 6 months. If you have the same car.
Oh, trust me, I am.
Because every time I sell it, then it jumps right after I've sold it.
Oh, believe me, I will definitely.
Yeah, if I sell the Guara, then you should hold it. Yeah, 6 months, and then it'll be triple the value.
Yeah,
he leads, he gets bloody, and then you're like, oh, the market's good now.
Yeah, and then people, oh yeah, the Guara, you genius. Like, well, actually, I sold it. You sold it before.
We've had that conversation because you've done it many times.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you have your pulse on what's cool and what's hot and what's next. That's the key. But as long as you enjoy the car,
right?
And like you said, it's not like you're selling the cars and you're gonna have to, stop eating meat for 3 years. Like,
right.
You're doing okay.
Yeah. Well, also, I guess the thing for me is I'm really into the experiential aspect of things. So I had all this Group B stuff, and now I'm trying to experience different stuff, which is why the Pajero is kind of I've never had a truck before of any kind. So that's new. I know you're looking at me
like an SUV.
Yeah, SUV. Anything.
You've never had an SUV.
Never. I've never owned it because I feel like they're just not that great to drive, and I'm sure I'm wrong.
No, that's wrong. Also, by the way, like you've been here long enough, you have to at least have a pickup truck at some point.
But I feel like
I'll be honest, this is my first pickup.
Is it really?
Yeah, the Ford's my first pickup, and I bought it because I'm during football season I'm in LA, and I'm like, man, I just always wanted a pickup.
Pickup was great.
But I'll be honest with you, I bought it from my friend, one of my college buddies.
Yeah.
Best buddies in college. His dad owned a Ford dealership. So when I got the Ford GT, I make sure I got it through the dealership. Right. Then I called him up. I said, I want a pickup truck. Ford F-150. I said, Shelby, I'm looking at 4-door. Great. I got you. When I get the truck, he ships it to me in L.A. because I'm only going to drive it there for football season. And I didn't know of the off-road version. So this sucker is tall and proud.
Yep.
Like it's up there, man. All I need is like a shotgun rack in the back and some dip in my cheek.
And the cup. You need the cup.
The cup. Yeah. But it's a badass truck now. Yeah. And I drive it, and they have the version that is lower. And I'm like, I kind of like this. And even driving here, this is the first time I've driven it in the city, like the last 2 days. Gets more looks and more stares. The dude in one of those halal booths today was just staring after I left work.
I'll say right now, the off-road truck is the cheat code for driving in the city. Like I used to have like a Raptor here, and it doesn't make any sense from a width perspective. Yeah. But like in terms of like potholes, cutting over.
See, that's why I think the Pajero is the perfect.
Pajero's great because it's tiny, so it'll actually fit.
Phil is selling this Pajero.
I know he's really driving prices up. He's driving the market.
No, Phil, that I'm not getting.
What? But it's brisk, man. It's brisk.
Okay, I have a G-Wagon. I'm good.
But this is like what's that Japanese anime? Gundam.
Oh, Gundam.
Yeah, it is. It's because it's so odd. It's just anyway. You'll see, man. You'll see. They'll be worth $25,000 this time next year.
Oh wow!
Up from 28.
And I had a 928 GT GTS too.
Oh, I love the 928.
That was a cool cruiser.
Those are beautiful, man. I love those cars.
It's like I'm like.
Wait, that's the 91, right? The GTS. That's the last one, or 94? Yeah,
I think it was the 94 GTS.
Yeah.
Aventurine green.
That's cool.
And then my GT2 RS, then I spec that. I did Aventurine green too with like a tan,
That's
almost
great.
like a baseball mitt interior.
Ooh.
Beautiful car.
That's lovely.
Nice.
Kind of,
You know what car
I
I'd
look back at old pictures, which is why I have my phone, and I'm just like, why did you?
You know what I'd like to buy is a very first series Audi TT.
Those actually, they look really interesting still.
But
the baseball interior.
They were revolutionary. I mean, if you think about that, design was unbelievable at the time. I think there's a super. I think there's no.
I'm not following you.
I understand it.
I probably won't buy one, but I just think if you could get a really cool mint one for like $2 or $3 grand, I don't know. From a design standpoint, they're super genius. I think. No one is with me on this. I accept that. I recognize that.
No, I understand where your lunacy comes from. I think it's a beautiful design. I think it was interesting at the time. I don't think it's going to be worth a whole lot.
I don't think it'll be. I don't think it's worth anything.
I like 70s, 80s, 90s cars.
That's
Audi
90s.
TT, I don't think it's
Late 90s.
Is it?
Yeah, 98. Wasn't it 98?
Maybe
99 year.
It was like early aughts because it's based on a Mark IV Volkswagen platform, so like a Golf, Jetta.
Oh, okay, he really knows.
Kind of no, because I had Mark IV Golfs back then.
Okay,
so I was a Volkswagen kid.
I don't know what else is left in the 90s that's not zillions of dollars.
3000 GT.
Yeah, I went through my 80s, 90s like phase of like when I was in Germany.
Right.
Moved there in 81 and 81 and like I had the M6.
Oh, I love the
which
M6.
I love that shark looking
that
thing.
car.
Like
the Euro spec. The Euro spec M6 is what color was yours?
Black.
Oh, that's so cool.
Beautiful car,
it's
man.
Genius.
That I had 500E.
Nice.
1994.
See, 500. The 500E is a much faster car than the Evo 2.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Because the guy
it's
sold
smoother.
the Evo.
Also more subtle in terms of like those front like fenders.
But
the guy sold my
exactly.
The guy I sold my Evo 2 to. He showed up in a 500E and he said, "Why don't you drive it over to your garage?" So I drove. I was like, "Holy shit, man! This is way quicker than the Evo 2. If you'll be disappointed driving the Evo 2 after this car."
Oh wait! Hopefully you had to check in your bank.
No. But he was like, "I know," and then he bought it and it was all fine. But yeah, it was. I love all those 90s Mercedes, the bricks.
Yeah, I always had.
They're genius. They're so cool.
So I just got the 500E. I just saw. I have a 86 Aston Martin Volante Vantage.
That's cool.
Convertible. That's convertible, which I love.
Don't the convertibles from that era have like the massive kind of poofy convertible bit?
This looks over the back.
Yeah, that always bugs me.
The tonneau cover.
Yeah, exactly. Always bugs me.
But it looks better than that the roof hanging.
That's true. Yes. Yeah.
But that's like if people see that car and they're like, "What's that, a Mustang?"
Well, I know because it
looks like an English Mustang.
Yeah, it does.
That's the thing about that car because I love those cars. But here, you're right. People confuse them for a Mustang or Camaro of some kind, some version of that. It's true.
But I've we ain't gonna keep on going.
We could go on all day.
We can go on all day with cars.
You probably have things to do, man. Colonoscopy.
No, I'm trying to. I'm just trying to get on, man. So I'm just trying to stay on this program as long as I can. Hopefully, I can get a show or something, man, and to get launched my career.
I don't know, man. Your personality, it's a bit. You got to work on it a little bit, man. I mean, you just liven yourself up a bit.
I will.
Honestly, man, I really appreciate you coming on.
Of course, I can sit here. Honestly, I can sit here another hour and talk cars. I have no problem with it because I absolutely love it. It's one of my favorite things. Phil and I, cars and watches.
We didn't even touch on watches.
Yeah, are like the advices. Why do they have to be expensive vices? Why can't we be into marbles?
But here's the thing:
you're right.
Comic books are expensive,
but all vices are expensive.
Well, relatively speaking, if you collect there's people who collect glass bottles from the 18th century.
Yeah, but
I have a friend who collects.
I'm pretty sure there's probably some expensive.
But I'm talking about. Like,
I have a friend
like real vice, like watches.
I have a friend. I have a
friend. Women are a real vice.
I have a friend who collects safes.
That's the most expensive.
That's an expensive vice.
He collects safes, and that's. I mean, who collects safes?
Safes?
Yeah.
What's in them?
Nothing. He just collects the safes. I feel like
how big are that? It seems like a collecting.
Yeah. First of all, how are you going to carry them around?
A car.
Yeah.
But where the hell am I going to? They're heavy.
Did you always collect watches at the same time as cars, or did you start one?
Pretty much.
You did.
Yeah.
I resisted. I was always like, oh, it's such a cliche. You know, you like cars and you like watches, this mechanical obsession, and I resisted for years, and then I just fell massively down the watch rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Like 7 years ago.
Well, I've always liked a nice watch. I like the mechanics of it, just the look. I think a watch is like a car in a lot of ways. The car you drive and the watch you wear on that day kind of, to me, tells what mood or it kind of sets a tone. Mm-hmm. And you can kind of cater it to how you are in that moment.
Sure.
And some cars you look and you go, that's fantastic. I don't feel like driving that.
Right.
I look at watch and I go, I don't feel that today.
So wait, can I ask, how are you feeling today?
Well, you have an Aquanaut on.
Yeah, green Aquanaut.
Now, is that an early-ish one?
No, this is the latest one.
Okay.
I got this a year or so ago.
Okay. Because the green craze, there was a green craze happening.
Yeah, there was a green craze happening. Well, still going.
Yeah.
And I fell into it.
Right.
The only watch regret I'm mad I did not buy.
Right.
Was that very basic, simple Rolex with the the Tiffany blue face.
Oh, the oyster was an oyster.
Yeah, the oyster. I bought one with a green face.
Okay. Did you see the one with the palm tree dial?
No, I don't have that one.
Do you know what I'm talking about? I think it's super cool. It's got a green dial, but it's got these etched palm trees on it or palm leaves on it, and I know it sounds weird, but it's super cool. I think, and it also
I've only seen it in photo. It looks a little busy.
I don't know. To me, it's just, and of course it's double in value. I mean, I can't buy the whole kind of modern watch thing. I just take umbrage with it because I feel like to buy one, you have to be friends with some dealer, and then they make you buy some miserable watch as well as the one you want to buy, or you're
it's
on
like
some
Ferrari.
Yeah, exactly. Or yeah, exactly. It's the same thing.
You gotta take 3 Romas.
Yeah, in order to get hopefully get something.
Yeah, and it's like they're doing you a favor, allowing you to buy. I prefer. I mean, I'm a sort of a vintage geezer myself.
Well, I've been fortunate enough to have good friends who have made sure that if something pops up that they think is interesting, or if I see something, I'll send to them, and they'll make sure I get it.
Did you get the Patek Tiffany?
No, that's the one I wanted and couldn't get.
Well, listen, we're putting it into the universe right now that you're looking.
I'm sure, man, after the 4 people who've listened to this show, I'm sure one of those people will have a connection
You
to
never
Patek.
know who you're reaching out. That's one thing I learned. You never know who's listening and paying attention. But that one, I do love the one with the Tiffany face. Right. That was like one I was actively pushing and pursuing, but that was the hardest one to get. And
I'm surprised.
But I'm not complaining. I mean, I've been lucky and have gotten my fair share.
But you're primarily modern watch geezer.
Yeah. Because a lot of you sent me some, and I'm like, okay, that looks cool, really cool Rolexes and stuff. Right. But they're on all like gold or white gold or. Like,
the Pateks. I showed you the Pateks are from the 70s. I'm massively into.
Dude, back in the 70s, people had really small wrists.
What, like everyone's got like roast beef wrists now?
Yeah, and it's like no way that's getting around my wrist, but it looks really cool.
So, well, this is old. This is mid 60s.
Yeah, that would work. But I have like some older stuff too, which I like. But now it's like more modern.
What's minimum? I always feel it's always weird when you talk about watches because then when you talk to watch guys, like, so how big's your wrist? You know, my wife's come in and she's heard me. I'm on the phone. Goes, how large is your wrist? Mine's about 7.
That
inches.
Reminds me of that commercial where the wife comes down and she's like, "Who are you talking to?" He's going, "Jake from State Farm." Right. And she grabbed the phone with him. "Jake from State Farm, what are you wearing?" Khakis. Right.
Yeah, like this.
So your wife hears you talking seductively about your wrist.
Because I'm always talking about like watch guy stuff is kind of weirdly nerdier than car guy stuff.
I agree.
You know,
it is
because it's like how many millimeters?
Definitely.
What's the diameter of it? It's always like because it's always sort of vaguely close to penis-sized jokes.
It's a more intimate discussion because it is something that goes on your body.
I got a big wrist and a big foot.
Yeah, I mean, no one's saying, like, it'd be like if someone said, so how wide is your ass, to sit in that car? Like no one's asking you about like ass diameters and stuff.
People ask about like, hey, do you need like the fat boy seats in like a race car?
Maybe,
but that's about it.
Yeah.
That's about as close as you get.
But yeah, watches I love it. Watches are either to store, either to maintain.
Right. Well, that's why it's such a disaster.
Yeah.
Because they're seductive, like, I can put them all in my closet or a safe or whatever it is, and then you start kind of buying them like peanuts. You just start going like, I could get one more. Because also the outlay is not as vast as it is for a car. Well, it can be, but so you kind of deceptively start buying more than you think you should buy.
But I've gotten so much into it, but then I ain't even invested into a business called Watchbox.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah. Well, so what is what? I know the name's familiar. What do they do?
Well, they resell watches.
Okay.
Are they
used watches, but you don't. But they own them inventory.
Right.
So you're not saying put this up on an auction site. It's not a consignment thing. It's not a consignment thing. They literally will buy your watch from you.
I bet that's an amazing business right now.
Oh, it's been in the same business over a valuation over $1 billion.
Really?
And my buddy Justin has done a great job with it.
Right.
And so just opening up a new Patek store in Florida.
Right.
So that's coming up. And they have some physicals to Rolex, Patek, all these different things. But Watchbox itself offices all over the world. Singapore, here in the U.S., based out of Philadelphia right now.
I mean, the watch market is just booming. It's just crazy.
Through the roof. And
especially for modern stuff. Modern stuff in the last year and a half, 2 years has gone stratospheric.
And imagine you're a young kid now. Now these kids at 20, 21 on up to whatever, they're making more money now earlier than we ever imagined. Right. So one of the first things to show your status or whatever, if that's important to you, is a watch or a car.
Right.
Yep.
And so that's why I think the watch market is hot and will continue to be hot. And I think that's why the car market is hot and will continue to be hot.
Right.
And
except for the 70s Patek watch market.
Except for the 70s Patek watch market.
Just you wait.
You have that cornered.
I have that.
Once you start selling off, the rest of us
that's it. The market's going to jump, man.
Let me know when you're selling.
Yeah. And then you can start. And then you'll buy.
And I'll buy yours.
and then they'll triple in value. But it's I mean, I'm such a kind of pathological contrarian. I am driven to the sort of obscure corners, which is why I ended up in that corner.
But I love obscure. More in cars than watches, probably.
Well, for me, the moment I see I find there's a clear pattern for me. The moment I see other people buying the same car, or I see the same car showing up at Cars and Coffee, or a lot of them, or people talking about it, then I begin to lose interest, always.
Yeah. So how are you going to do in Guara when I show up and you're going to show up?
Because it's just going to be two of us.
Okay.
There's not going to be, I mean, there's only 30 of those things. So how many?
That's truly why I bought a lot of cars that I bought, because there's like special, you don't see them at every stoplight you pull up to. It's like, oh, there's another one. Oh, and another one. It kind of takes...
I'm exactly the same way, man. I'm exactly the same way. Like I'm a massive snob, and it's not about money. Like I'm happy to buy a car that doesn't cost much if it's really interesting and low production.
I agree.
It's really
100%.
but the low production thing makes it special.
Yeah, I agree with that. It doesn't have to. It's not about the money at all. It's about the car and the
like an Alpha SZ
exclusivity of it.
Do you ever tempted by an Alpha SZ? For our American listeners,
Z. I was like, what?
You know what? You know what I'm talking. You know what?
Corvette Z06.
Yeah, Z06, man.
A friend of mine offered me his wife's just the other day. Corvette Z06 90s, 9,000 miles on 8,600, something like that. It is by far the cleanest car. And I know them.
You see, that's the kind of car you buy and you put on Bring a Trailer and make like 300 grand.
And I know them so well, right? And she is so incredibly anal and clean.
Right.
Whenever she drove this car, it's her car, she would literally go out and blow all the crevices out. This car is pristine.
Right.
And I wanted to... I thought about buying it, put on Bring a Trailer, but he offered it to me at a deal for this.
Right.
And I was like, I feel like it'd be great in your collection. So I felt like if I buy it, I can't do that. Right. But don't necessarily want a Corvette Z06.
But the
Callaway
Alpha,
I like though.
What? No love for the Alpha SZ?
Yeah.
Wait, which one?
I always loved those.
The 90s one. I had one of those.
I love
the convertible one or the hardtop?
The convertible one always felt to me like it had driven under a semi truck, and like
it's because it's such a clean cut.
Yeah, exactly.
I thought about that car too. I looked at would I fit?
I think you might actually. It's pretty spacious.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, and it's really nice to drive. Again, it's one of those cars that could use with like another 100 horsepower and another less 100 pounds. My secret automotive formula that I'm now springing onto the world.
More horsepower,
less weight. I mean, it's radical.
I hope that engineers out there are listening.
Listen, I'm a giver. I like to give back to society. This is my
giving back.
This is me giving back with this revolutionary formula.
This is your court-ordered giving back to society.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but it's really lovely to drive. It looks.
I've never owned an Alpha.
It looks super cool. Much better in person again than in pictures. And of course, I did the exhaust thing and it sounded great. But it's not like a crazy car drive. It's it's just fun.
Yeah. I have one Lancia.
Which
S4.
Oh, you had the Delta S4. Yeah, same as me.
Yeah, but this one's like a very special one.
You had, wasn't yours owned by the...
It's supposed to, we supposedly have everything to back that up. And once we get all that stuff
so it's owned
clarified, it will be up for auction for anyone who's listening.
But do you want to tell people?
Nope, not yet.
Okay.
I'm going to get it. I'm going to clarify, get it out. I'll come back.
All right.
I like that we're ending on the stay tuned for the auction listing.
Stay tuned.
The next podcast with you will just be an auction listing. You doing an auction listing.
We're going to have the stats on the board.
Oh, man. Well, but I appreciate you guys, man. It's been a lot of fun.
Thank you so much for coming, man. It's been fantastic.
Yeah, I'm glad it finally happened because
it's kind of a miracle.
We had some scheduling issues.
Yeah, and then Phil battled through food poisoning today.
Had some dodgy shrimp.
Going to make himself some dodgy shrimp.
Thank you.
Now your wife is back. She can make sure that you don't poison yourself.
That's right. Thank you so much again, man.
All right. And a tip of the day for everyone out there. Never, ever eat shrimp out the back of the refrigerator.
That's right.
That's excellent. All right. Thanks again, man.
Thank you.